It's time to look at the front fiber optic installation. So first thing is take some measurements. So here's the fiber optics coming into the cab, and it's quite long, as you can see. If you don't want to measure it, it goes back to basically, it goes back to the top of the deck lid. Here's the deck lid right here. It goes back right to there. It's about 64 inches in the cab, all right? So we know how long that is. A difference between the original and the replacement is the fiber optic wires are thicker and they're also color coded. The replacement is thinner and they're all black. So you do want to make sure you know where things are going, maybe label them ahead of time. But the lengths should give you a really great indication of what goes where. But just make a note, it does come with a firewall grommet. So let's go into the car and see what's happening under there. Okay, so the main wiring harness comes out there. And then right below it, which I can barely show you, there we go, right there is the fiber optic. I think we can catch it from over here. Let's see. Hello. There we go. All right, so that's where the fiber optics run, and then they essentially tie in right there. So that's going to be fun, isn't it? And then they go up, and we'll look at it from above, but they go up right by the vacuum tank. So let's go up and look at that. Okay, so that's what we saw below. Wires come up. It's hard to show you. Come up here, and we've got our horn relay over here, which I probably need to disconnect. And then we've got a little pigtail for the alternator. It looks like that could use some new tape. And then it just goes all the way out to the front by the driver's side. There's a little cutout here for the vacuum hoses. And then we're in the front of the car. So that's kind of simple, although it's not that easy to get to. Now it passes through that spot by the radiator. And then there's a few wires that break away for the driver's side, and then we go up right along the front, and now we've got the passenger side, which is basically just right here. So that's the farthest one, is this one, for the passenger side turn signal. Let me show you the orange lens. Okay, so in both of your front turn signals in the front, you're going to need one of these lenses, and this goes right over the end. But you also, and I found this out, you also need the grommet that goes in the housing for the turn signal lens. This one is not enough. This is just a boot. So you need the grommet. So, and these are sold in pairs. So even though I have this, I don't have the rubber grommet, so I had to order 2 new sets of these, and those were about $11, $12 each set. I don't think I'm gonna measure these all, because I can see right here that obviously, and this makes sense, that the turn signal bulb and socket and the fiber optic are the same basic length away from when they break out of that pigtail. And then, of course, the side marker light, which is farther, is a little bit longer. So it's just, you know, that much longer. And since I'm not changing the electrical, those should stay relatively the same distance. I just have to tape down to here. So I think what I'm gonna do is start pulling this up and out so I can work on it up in this area. before I stuff it back down. But the hard part's going to be running the new fiber optics to where they need to go. I want to show you how they attach this to this header bar here. So there are these T holders. I don't know what that's called exactly, but this is inserted in, and then you just tape that around first, and then you wrap it. This is pretty grody, but I think, look at this. Do you guys think this is original? I don't know. It looks to be in really good shape, and I think it is original, but I don't know. Is it? These wires look like they're in great shape, so hopefully they are. But that obviously looks old. All right, this is just for my own documentation more than anything, but all the headlight wires pass down in this space to the outside of the vacuum diaphragm unit. So let's take a better look at these. See, the fiber optic cable goes in there, so you've got the two electrical and then the fiber optic, and I believe it just gets shoved in there. Let me see if I can just pull it out. I think you can just pull that out, but there is a little rubber sleeve, you see there? I'm gonna try to reuse mine, but that's it. It just goes in that little rubber sleeve. And this would be the high beam, low beam. Same thing. You can see, where'd the cable go though? There's the fiber optic. That's the yellow one in the middle. All right, so we'll keep unwrapping. One of the things that makes this way easier, you guys, is a heat gun. I have a heat gun down here, and I'm just heating this a little bit, and it almost just unwraps itself if you heat it. If you don't heat it, and depending how cold it is outside, this stuff can be very hard and brittle, and it's just not pliable. But a little heat, and you see, it just kind of loosens right up. So that's a good move. Okay, this is just more documentation. So from this split, the first major split, here, the side marker setup and the headlight, you can just see that this connector and the two-way bulb are about the same length away. So this blue wire, which I'm assuming is a ground, had its own little wrapping, which I'll redo, but it's a good time to check these, make sure this is all okay. This runs down. You can see one goes to the side marker light and one goes to the turn signal. So those are probably just ground wires. All right, another thing to take note of is that the main loom wrapping went on after, of course, this, but let me show you how that's attached. So there's just a couple little, well, one little piece of tape that goes around. You see it's kind of a, it's almost like you'd tie down a boat at a dock, right? So that is there, and then you tie the wires together first, and then you would wrap the main loom. So that's good to know. So when I put these back in, I'll just tie those down and then we'll wrap it. All right, so there was another tie down spot here, just past the midway point. There's also a ground wire there that runs in. So that's just grounding the front part. So we'll keep going. We're running into some other, yeah, this is probably for the horn, right? Because the horn's not here, but that's where it goes, right under here. All right, we'll keep going. Here's an interesting tidbit of information. So this piece of tape is the same piece of tape. It was going along here, and then I followed it all the way down to the end of the headlight, ponytail. I guess it's a ponytail. And see, there's another sensor. I guess I need two of those. And then it continues. So basically when you're wrapping it, you start with this larger bunch and then you go down to the bottom here and then you wrap and then you keep going and you go along here. Now, I don't know if I can replicate that in this tight space, but I'll try. I guess it's better, you know, to just stick with one piece as much as you can. Just try to do the whole thing in one shot. That way you don't have ends that can get undone and unravel. All right, I got all the way down to that point, and now it gets a little gnarly. I just have to pull and push and get the tape off, and then I can continue on the inside of the engine bay. I'm glad I'm doing this now because I forgot that this ground, which attaches to the radiator support, was not connected. So that's there, and that's the last thing in the front part, and then I just have to keep getting this tape off. It's a little tight. I can pull it through to the other side, but then this thing is dangling, so maybe I'll just do that. I'll pull this whole thing through to the engine bay side and keep going. Okay, FYI, I found it easier to pull the harness towards the front of the car because this connector is kind of big, and I could maybe pull it that way, but I think this is easier. And I'm just gonna work under here for a minute, get this loosened up, and then go that way back into the engine bay. Okay, quick update. Yeah, the part that goes through the wall, the radiator pass-through area is gnarly, but I got it. And now it's smooth sailing up to here, and pretty much the rest of the way, pretty easy. You can see this stuff doesn't have a lot of glue on it, which is great. It's basically like just a plastic covering. You see, it just comes off really easy. This is why you want to wrap with something that's not gluey, not sticky. See, because can you imagine doing this with electrical tape and everything's covered by like a sticky, gooey yuck. So at least this is coming off nicely, and wires look great. I don't know. Maybe they are 50 years old. I don't know. 54 at this point. We're at the alternator ponytail or pigtail. I don't know. You choose. And I want to show you again how they do this wrap. So it was coming down from the main harness, from the firewall, and then you see they take one piece and they go all the way out to the end, and then they wrap it back to the main branch and then continue. So if you want to do that, you could do that. I guess you could just wrap this one first, this you know, the breakaway, the twig, and then do the branch, but this was all one piece of tape. Well, it's tight, you guys. I'm trying to get down into, will it focus? Come on. Way down there is hard. So I might have to climb under the car, but this last 2 feet of unwrapping is really difficult. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to show you guys what's happening. So I did manage to get most of this unwrapped, and you can see I only have to go to here. I also pulled this grommet out from the firewall, and so I can just pull this through now, but I need to finish unwrapping this. The hardest part is doing it with one hand, basically, and then I don't know how I'm gonna wrap this thing with one hand. It's not possible, so I'm gonna have to somehow, and I wanna show you where I am. I mean, I'm past the exhaust right now. So I don't know, maybe I can get 2 hands up in this space, but this is not gonna be easy, and I think this is why, this is what makes it the biggest pain in the butt right here, this area. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I'll check back with you in a minute. Piece of advice: when you're under the car and you're trying to pull this whole thing through, make sure you cut anything it's zip tied to before you try that. especially when you saw the zip tie earlier and you thought to yourself, I should really cut that so I could pull this through the firewall opening without having to climb all the way back from underneath the car, come up here, and then go down there again. All right, part A is done, kind of. So I've got all the fiber optics out up to this point. Now I've got to untangle them from the whole rest of the harness, and then the real fun begins. So I guess I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do this. Probably pulling them from the front into here would be easier, so I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to go ahead and start with the farthest, which is the turn signal. That's the purple, and I did mark where they had the tails separating with some tape, so I'm just going to pass it through there, put this tape back on, because I want to remember where I have to tape up to. But I want to show you this too. You see this one? This is for the headlight bulb. Remember, it goes in there. And these, you just shove it in there. So it'll go in. It's hard to do with one hand, but you put it in and it just snaps in there. And same with this one. You just basically just pull it out, shove the new one in. All right, well, that wasn't too bad. I've got the 3 for the passenger side, and I'm just running them up and out, and now I'm going to pull the driver's side. Success. There it is, guys. And yeah, I didn't find any more breaks, but I did have a place on the front driver's side turn signal where I tried to do a repair. Didn't really work. I don't recommend trying to splice together fiber optic. You can try. I mean, if it works, it works. But this is going to be a lot better to have the new stuff in there. Just clean. A lot of these things are just super dirty. I suppose you can clean them, but out with the old, in with the new. So now the real fun begins, but first it's lunchtime. All right, we're back. Here's the replacement, and I think it'll be easy to feed this through the hole from the engine bay. So that's what I'm gonna try. All right, we're almost there. You can see by the grommet that it's meant to be shoved in from the engine bay side. So I'm gonna get that, and then the fun begins. Success. All right, let's just check it. The length should be the same, right? And there we go. There's the edge of the deck lid. So we know that that's pretty much the same as the other one. Looks like it's in, is it in good shape? I don't know, it looks like it's curved a little. I'm sure it'll be fine. A little tweaked maybe. Well, nothing like OEM parts, right? So, but I'm assuming this will fit fine. And in my experience with Corvettes is that even if something looks curved, it's probably meant that way. There's no straight lines on this whole car. All right, let's see. I want to make sure these are clean. Looks like a little bit of schmutzy stuff in there. We'll check them all. Why are those lower? Well, we'll double check all this stuff before we install it. Okay, so we've got the new fiber optics running up. And now the question is, how in the heck am I going to get these things tied up? Focus. That's what I need to do right now. I need to focus. All right, so I'm gonna go back down under the car and start the process. All right, let's go. Check it out, guys. I got it wrapped all the way up in here. I got the alternator wrapped up like I did. Looks like I have a question. And now I'm up to this point. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and run these up to where they need to be in their various spots before I continue. Okay, let me show you what I've got. So I ran all of the cables through. I made sure that they were all together and that they went under. I know it doesn't look like it, but I made sure that they were not twisting around the vacuum hoses. So all of the electrical and the fiber optic are together and they all come out. I know it's hard to see, but they all come out under the vacuum, and they're all there. And then I separated the driver's side, which is these three, and the passenger side over here. So I'm going to continue taping in the engine bay and get as far as I can, and then we'll continue over here. Okay, I'm going to continue. I had to break the tape because I couldn't obviously go through that little gap. But what you can do is tape as much as you can inside the engine bay and then leave this loose. Don't put it in the clips. Leave it loose and you can get quite a bit to shove through that way. And then you can see, then you can pick it up over here. So what I'm going to do is start to tape that, but this is going to break away relatively soon, and then these two will come up and plug into their respective headlight plugs, and I'll make sure I double check which one is which. I believe this one would be the low beam, high beam, so this would be the white, I think. We're going to find out in a minute, but this would be the white indicator, and then these are the dedicated high beams, I think. Again, not positive, but that should be that one because it's longer, I think. Wait, whichever one is longer would go, I'm assuming, to the inside. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Don't quote me, I'll let you know. All right, so I made it up to this point. I'm kind of pre-positioning the fiber optics because they need to be, I know it doesn't look like it, but they need to be bent like a similar length so that they don't come out too long. They're kind of longer than the originals, I think. So I might have to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might have to have this just sort of loop around. I'm not really sure yet, but they are longer than the originals apparently. But I just discovered something that makes it easy to figure out which one of these goes into which one of these. Now, of course, you can see the length, so that's a kind of a giveaway. But check this out, you guys. They are not the same size. So this one is bigger, smaller, and you can see here, now some of you know this already, but if you look at the holes, why do they look the same size? They're not here. See, so the one on the left is bigger, one on the right is smaller. Beam, beam, beam. All right, so that takes that guesswork out. So that's a relief, one less thing I have to worry about. So I'm gonna keep going and hopefully we'll end soon. Okay, so I rewrapped this first headlight collection. And yeah, the fiber optics are longer. So I just left a loop in this one. This one is just longer. Maybe I can do another loop or maybe that's okay. Anyway, it's kind of a bummer that they're long, but you know what? Better than being too short. I mean, I can't really blame them for making them a little bit long, but I'm not sure where I would have left that because the cable's as long as it is. So there you go. There we are, folks. Looks nice. All right, so a couple things. Again, fiber optic is longer, so I'm just gonna loop it around before I shove it in there. Just put a loop in it. Same thing down here on this one. It's about, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches longer, about that much. So I'm just gonna do a little loop, put it in there once the headlights are, once I get down there, I'll figure it out. This end, it looks pretty good. I think, remember, when we first looked at it, this and this were about the same length, but look how much longer the Lectric Limited is. So you've just got, you know, extra length there. All right, I'm gonna try to stuff this in here. Now, one thing I am doing differently is, and then maybe you've caught it by now, or you've noticed, is that I am not, oh, and also, where'd my tape go? I was gonna show you guys, I think I threw it on the ground. Anyway, I used like one whole roll of this tape, and I almost used the entire roll, and I had enough to do all of this with one roll of tape, which is kind of cool. So I want to show you, I did not attach this before I did the loom because it's just too hard. It's too hard to wrap it when it's like right up against the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to use these little guys, but I think what I'll do is I'll just put this up here like that, and then I'll just do a couple little zip ties right in there. I could do tape, but I think I like the idea of just doing a even Velcro or a zip tie, something that's not going to dig into it. But that way, if I need to pull this out, I can just unzip tie it, put this up, you know, work on it, put it back, and that's really easy. All right, so let me see if I can do that real quick, and so we can have this wrapped up, and I'll let you know how it fits. All right, guys, thanks for keeping me company on this journey. I just wanted to show you, I got the wiring harness tucked in, and I did my little zip ties, a couple here, a couple there, and that worked really well, I feel. The middle I haven't sorted out yet. I still have some hoses. I'm going to tighten up these hoses down here. I think they're just too long, but that's another issue. Let me show you one thing that I'm not crazy about, and that has to do with the length of the fiber optic. Remember how these were just kind of long? So this one in the three-way bulb, or the two-way bulb, yeah, isn't that nice? This is new. Hasn't even been on the road yet. It's already rusty. That's okay. This one, I looped it around, and I had to zip tie it up here because it kept hitting. It was like resting on this spring. And that's why I really don't like, you know, having all this extra fiber optic. I think it's okay, it's out of the way, but it's a lot of extra. It would be nicer if it would just follow the wires. And then I have this, of course, which is for that safety switch or whatever it's called, headlight switch. But that's what that looks like. Fiber optics are in, and the other side is good. You see my little curly Q there. This side looks okay, and that's all good. On the side marker lights, I have this much, which is a lot, or the turn signal, not the side marker light, the turn signal, but that's plenty. A little longer than the original. Same over here. So that's ready to go, and but this is all, it's all good. Everything's nice and neat in here, very tidy, and it doesn't have paint on it, which is nice. It's just clean. The only mistake I made, I just realized right before I started making this video, is this green wire. I thought it was supposed to come out here with this brown one, but it actually originally was in this loom up until here, right there. And this is for the, there's a thermo sensor down there under the header. Not a super big deal. I think it can hang out, but it just kind of looks weird now. So maybe I'll just do a little wrap, like one more wrap around here and up to that point. Not a big deal. Let's check the inside. Yeah, so that's clean. That looks good. And then here's the new one. I haven't tested it yet. I did test it when I first got it and it all worked, but I should probably double check everything to make sure it works. But it does look like the original, same shape. Even that angle right there, how that's angled, that is like the original. So that's good. I would say it took the better part of a day in it, you know, back and forth. I'd say I probably spent about 4 to 5 hours, probably 5 hours, maybe a tiny bit more, doing the whole front fiber optic. The back was a little faster, but it wasn't too bad. And I'm really happy with the job I did. I hope you guys learned something. If I did something wrong, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Denial is my friend right now. No, I think it'll be good. Thanks for watching. Give it a like and thumbs up. Hit the bell if you like this content. I'll see you guys later. Yeah, baby.